second to make sure the live stream actually shows up, because I have a bad habit of actually starting before it actually starts recording. Okay, I think we are live there. So, welcome back to Legendary Mail Games. I'm your host, Joe. And the curtain is finally being pulled back in this episode as we're finally reviewing how I actually go about creating all these projects just with the PlayStation 5 itself. So, if you don't already know, I do not currently have a computer, so all the videos I do is between the PlayStation 5 and my phone. So, how do we actually go about creating all these videos? I use Share Factory Studio when it comes to PlayStation 5, and if you're wanting to make a new project, what you want to do is go into the game itself and record all the footage. Once you have your footage recorded, you'll have two different options under Video Editor. You'll have New Project and My Projects. So New Project is typically where you'll start, and as you'll see here, you are given a bunch of creator packs just for your opening and ending cards. If you've been following the channel for any period of time, you'll recognize quite a few of them that I use for certain series. For instance, the shoot 'em up one is for Struggle the Antaresian Legacy, because literally everything you fires about 1,000 rounds a minute in that series. The Alien one is one I usually use on more alien sci-fi series, especially like Icarus Alien Vanguard when I covered that one. Then we have the old school RPG, which absolutely is the one we use now for Skyrim on Fridays. Cyberpunk is my main go-to just because it highlights right off the bat that this is all coming from PlayStation 5. Anime I use for the more cartoonish looking series like Austerity and Pirate Doom 2. 80s Synthwave is for Back to Saturn X series, if you've followed any of that, just because the colors match the theme. Same thing as Metal with Sunlust. I mean, everything's molten, everything's on fire. So typically you'll choose your overlay. You can preview it if you want to, but it'll automatically give you an intro, a title card, an outro, and just the little clip at the end. Snap. And then you'll go choose your actual recordings that you made for the video. For instance, this one was in two different sections because we had the opening, but then we failed right off the bat on the opening. So the actual footage is this one here. So you can select multiple clips, about as many as you want to, up to 75 minutes worth of video. Once you have your clips, just select them, and then they'll all come into your timeline. Now, of course, here you can edit, and to see your options, you can add overlays, you can add music soundtracks to them, you can even add images to it, or other clips. For instance, if we didn't grab enough, we can go back, add a new clip to it, and it'll appear back here. Now, if we want to go into actual editing, here's your editing menu options. We can speed up or slow down time with our clips. We can edit any of the overlays we put on. We can cut the clip, which is the main thing you're going to use. If you do have segments out of place, you can move them back and forth in your timeline. Like I could put this right at the very beginning of the video before the title card. You can delete things, especially when you start clipping, and copying clips, etc. Now, I'm not going to start this entirely from scratch because I'm going to show how to do this if you've already started a project, mainly because Sunlust has a lot of editing in its series, so you want to go to My Projects if you already have one started. And as you'll see right here, we have our intro, we have our credits, which are overlays that I brought in from DoomWiki. So if you want to edit anything, just go edit overlays, and you'll see you have options to select which one. And if you grab one, right there, you can see you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller, you can rotate it, change the colors to whatever you want it to be. You can add different effects to it. Animation settings, this is your lead in, lead out. As you can see, all sorts of various options. And the actual duration. This is just the opening sequence, so it can run the entire duration. You can also change your text if you messed something up, making it whatever you need it to be. Delete it if you didn't need the overlay after all, etc., etc. So in this situation, we already have a portion of this done. As you can see, the TDC counter, which is a very popular thing with my channel that I don't believe anyone else covering Doom does. This is just the total death count. And this is because I do not do speed runs. I am not trying to make any sort of world records or any sort of completionist thing. My entire goal is creating a walkthrough guide. So when you watch my video, you need to be able to see how to get the secrets, where the tough areas of the map are, what to watch out for. So in this case, we string together the areas, and where there are failures, the failures are taken out and instead replaced with the number. So for instance, up to this point in the map, there were no failures. Up to this point, we had 3 before moving forward. That way you can see, when you get to this section, you may want to watch out. It's a little bit tough. But then watch, when we jump over here, that 3 jumps all the way to 10. So you know, in this episode, this area is a little tough. This area you really want to watch out for, because it is significantly more difficult. So with that said, let's get back to where we actually are in our editing. That's going to be over here. So go to the end of our TDCs. Let's also see how many secrets we're at this point. I think we've gotten 2 of them covered so far. Yes. Okay. Let's just make sure there's no secrets that actually happen during this part. So this is one thing you kind of need to know going into it. Since you've already beaten the level at this point, you'll know where the secrets are. So all good there. So now we just want to go all the way until it says game saved again up top left. And sometimes you have to be careful. You can go so fast you fly right by it. But here it is. Let's get our split ray. And we want to back it up just before the save. Right there. Now, one thing we want to watch out for is in the Kex Doom port, it actually hesitates before it saves. So we do want to make sure we capture the last motion we had. We don't care about the slime pit. We just want to see when we stop moving. Moving into place, stop. So moving, stop right there. That's where we want to clip it. Now let's go back to our last failure. So let's see where we hit 0 at. Look like right there maybe? Nope. Archvile Goddess did not take us out. Let's keep going back. And actually, there was no failures in this segment. We can watch just to make sure. But it looks like we are okay here. This was when we ended up having to get the key. We had to lure the Archviles down here to punch them out. Mainly because ammo is a serious problem in this map, if you're pistol starting. Mainly because they have very high tier enemies in this map, giving you very few hit scanners to actually get ammo from. And yes, I think we are okay in this one. So in this segment, we did not have any failures, so the TDC is still 10. So we want to go there, and we want to add the overlay text. And as you notice, things that you use commonly will still be in the bar up here. So we have TDC 10, and we want to get reasonably close to the same size as the other one. It doesn't have to be perfect. Text duration will be this entire segment. And because the TDC did not change, we don't want to draw attention to it. There will be no lead in or lead outs. So at that point, there will be a slight variation, but since there's nothing to draw your attention to it, there's no reason to look at it. At this point, the TDC did not change. And that takes you to the next segment. So again, we want to look at the top left corner until we find where the next save was. At this point, it was very, very close to where we were. And I know why that happened. That's because this segment is incredibly cruel. But let's go ahead and see. Just make sure there was no problems here. I think there was, yep. Right there, we took it in the face. So, go ahead, let's get ready to clip that one out. Right there. And we want to look at when we actually start moving again. So in this case, let's also make sure there's no more failures because this section is very, very wicked. Go back here. All right. So look for when we very first move. That will keep the flow going from segment to segment. So it doesn't look like you're just sitting idle. And then we want to actually peg where we saved because we are worried about that Archvile encounter with good reason. Because they literally pin you into the corner the second you hit that switch. So wait for it. Right around here. Yep, right there. So again, we want to catch it right as we stop moving. As you can see, we literally move right into the save. So for once, there wasn't a pause period. Take out the failure. And now, this TDC didn't change until we hit the switch. It changed after the switch. So, TDC 10. Again, get roughly the same size. And you can just make sure they're not too jarringly different. Like that one, position-wise, is not right. Gotta go up a little, like that. Doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to not draw your attention away to what's actually going on. There we go. And now it's going to jump to TDC 11 because we did have one failure in this section. Now, this brings us up to TDC 11. And at this point, we do want to draw attention to it because it changed. So go to spin drop because that's the one that to me absolutely grabs your eye because it literally falls into place, forcing you to look over there at that moment. So now if we look at the transition, you have TDC 10, and we go to hit the switch, and whoops. Now again, don't worry about the music resetting. That is not noticed because I do cover the audio of the video clip afterwards. And that was done mainly so that I didn't have awkward segments. For instance, if I did save it and was caught mid-sentence when I saved it, and then that segment ended up getting cut out because of a failure, and then you're mid-sentence saying something, and on the successful run, what you're saying makes no sense at all. It's much cleaner just to do the audio afterwards. So if you want live audio for things, that'll typically be on the live streams. So as you see here, this covered TDC 11 all the way for the rest of the map. That's obviously not true. So let's find out where this thing goes. Let's go all the way to the next save, which actually is not very far from here. And the reason being is because of platforming. My arch nemesis. So let's go here. And yes, it's on the lift. This time, because we have to wait for the lift, I'm not too worried about us freezing in place. So let's just capture it here. Split. And notice it'll cut the TDC 11 off right there to complete this segment, but it actually cuts it off from any future segments. So be careful when you go about splitting your clips. It does also split any overlays you have, not letting them continue past the split. So at this point, this is still okay, as you can see there. But now it's the end right there. So let's see what actually happens here because We have a lot of issues with this platforming. Again, let's just watch for that game save. I'm sure it happened at this ambush. There's no way I would have went into this ambush blind, because this is the toughest section of the map. So let's be watching it here. I have a feeling the save is coming right around here somewhere. As we basically just grabbed everything and ran. Should be right here. No, apparently I was that reckless. Okay. That was just silly. So keep going, looking for that save. There it is. Except notice I see saves right on top of each other. Let's make sure that we don't need to clip it, because we have one there. Nothing happens, no failures. And then we should have one over here for the actual ambush. Yep. So there we go. Let's catch the ambush. Now here we have to be careful of the Hell Knight, because even though we may freeze in place, we want to make sure to capture when the Hell Knight next moves, because he hits right when it saves. As you can back it up here, get it all the way to the save point. As you see right there, when it saves, he hits. So let's go back. Now he's frozen. Now the one behind him moves. So we know this is correct. That's where it cuts. So we know this is good all the way to this point. Now we just need to find where we either failed or reset because of the platforming. And it looks like it's going to be right there. So let's make sure. Again, catch it when we start moving. Right there. Back it up. And on the first tick, that's where we want to capture it. Let's make sure there are no failures, or if there are, they are legitimate. So when it comes to a TDC counter, there are a few TDCs I do not count. And those are ones that are self-sabotage. So if I blow myself up, it doesn't count. And if I melt in lava, that doesn't count either, because that's not necessarily a mistake a regular player is going to make. We are talking about legitimate failures. And in this case, let's go and check what we have. So in this segment, we very ridiculously went straight on into the ambush without saving, which was silly. And Revenant Missile, yep. So that's one. And over here, what happened? Let me guess, this is the one where I got sniped from 10,000 miles away. Yep. Okay. Too legitimate. So that segment's gone. So now we went from TDC 11 to 13. And then, because the TDC actually changed in this segment, we do want to draw attention to it. So let's put it in place, the entire segment, and then let's change the lead-in animation to spin drop so that it forces your attention to it, so you know something happens in this segment. And then you can check to make sure it doesn't look jarring and looks smooth. Again, the music you're not going to hear because I'm recording audio over top of it. Now, this is a secret, and here's where we're going to run into a problem. We're going to have to add this secret marker in after production. Actually, I think we can get away with it. Wait, I think the first part is considered a secret too when you teleport. Let's make sure. Yep, it's a double secret here, and that's going to be a problem because our cut is right here. So if we mark the secret right here, people are not going to see it in time because the clip is going to be 5 seconds long. So there's a very good chance they're not going to know a secret is coming up. So we will actually put this one in after this is done. However, we can put secret number 4 in because it happens after we teleport. So there's secret 3, then we can add 4. And again, anything that you key in will be saved up top here. As you can see, common things that are used when I do these edits. And this time it's going to be the Megasphere. Right there. Again, Sunlust makes this quite tricky to do because the HUD is black and usually the background is black as well, which makes everything blend in and kind of tough to place. But again, once you select your colors, you'll notice they actually save on the color palette over here. All you really need for these levels is usually yellow, blue, red for the different keys. It automatically gives you white and black. And usually any other custom ones you can set, but once you get past 4, it will start overriding these. So in this case, we just want something that catches people's attention right here. And because the secret starts right here with our duration, we want to go until we actually get the Megasphere. So just inch it over. Teleport, right there it is. Okay. Now, since this is a secret, wipe in and fade out. That way it'll just blur in and leave when it needs to. So as you can see here, the TDC will change right there. This is secret number 3, but we'll have to do it afterwards because we didn't have time to lead up to it. But this is warning you secret number 4 is coming up. And of course, as soon as we get over here to actually hit the teleporter and get secret number 4, it's gone. So just like that, that gets us through this segment. We have the yellow key. We have 4 of the 5 secrets, and that's also why I periodically pull the map up, just to help act as a guide, so that we can confirm we just said there's 4 secrets. What does the map say? And it did confirm it, even though we can't find the map now all of a sudden. That's usually why you'll see me check it right after I get one of the secrets when I'm doing these, if you didn't notice the Easter egg before. Now let's just make sure that that didn't go off without a hitch. Usually I edit those out, but yes, we saw it right there. So 4 out of 5 secrets. So that just confirms we're still on track with all that. Now let's go to the big ambush. This is where a lot of the failures are going to come from. So here we go. Again, we are looking for the game save top left. As you can see, this took a while. There it is. All right. So again, we want to get to the last moment we moved right before the save. So back, back, back. There. So go until we stop moving right there. That's where we want to clip it. And now let's back it up and see where we last failed. And that's going to be right... Oh, I know it's got to be here because the arch file literally blew us out of the map. Let's see. Yep, there. Okay. So let's go ahead and get here. And before we delete this, we want to see how many legitimate failures we had. So again, just check when we hit 0. And make sure we didn't blow ourselves up or hit a toxic pit. And this one, that's legitimate. There's 1. Let's keep checking through here. Again, this is such a vicious segment. Now, no, this one is one of those instances where we literally got launched out of the map. How's it going, my friend? Great to see you here. We are literally just going over how I actually go about making these, literally with just a phone and the PS5. This is tonight's episode of Sunlust. They'll post a little bit later. And this one is actually one that does not count on the TDC counter because we actually melt in acid down here. Again, blowing ourselves up and melting in toxic pits are not counted with the TDC counter because those are issues that most players will probably not have. Give me a rocket launcher, I am destined to blow myself up at least 5 times an episode. Let's see here. Again, we are looking for an X failure. There it is. So is this legitimate? I think it was Shotgun Soldier. Yep, hit scare. There's 2. And 1 here. Again, launched out of the arena. The likelihood of you hitting it just right, that the Archvile literally sends you out of the map, is just uncanny. So at this point, we had 2 in this section. All right. So at this point, TEC 13, it's got to jump to 15 now. So actually not as many this time as when I very first played this map blind. I had a heck of a time because I basically wasted all of my ammo when I got to this point and had to punch my way out of this section. It was a nightmare. But this time I actually saved up all my rockets to do it. Now, because we want to draw people's attention to it, let's do spin drop so that it literally forces people to look at the change. And there is no lead out, and you want to cover the entire section. So let's make sure there's no other failures that crept in there, but I believe we're okay. This segment is literally just a mad dash to the Mancubus, because as long as you can get down the lift to where the secret is, you're okay. But as you can see here, you literally want to save up all your rockets or you are in trouble in this section. Mainly because those Archviles will just make this area heck for you. The pain elementals don't help either, but they'll usually follow you down when you take the secret. And so far, yada, 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 yada. Good. And down here, I believe, actually is where the secret tags itself. So let's just make sure when we actually take the lift down. Should get a secret tag, and yes, okay. So May kits and energy cell packs. We want to give people plenty of time. So let's go here. And we want to add secret number 5. And this one is going to be Medikits. And again, you'll notice it saves all the things you normally use up top here. So you don't have to rewrite everything all the time. And you notice it's going to be too big for a screen, so we do have to transform it and shrink it back down to size. Then energy cell packs. Don't even have to write it. Except this is just one that it gives you. Again, we want it to stand out, so I always do secrets in yellow. And luckily, because we're berserk right now, you can actually see where the HUD is. Normally, you can't when it comes to Sunlust. And just like that, there it is. Again, this one does lead in and lead out, because you just want it to appear and disappear. It's going to start with that segment, and it's going to go until we actually get the secret, which is when we go downstairs. So just check for when that happens. Again, it's a very cleverly hidden secret because the Mancubus usually stays in its closet there. It usually doesn't come out at you unless you hide in the back. So hiding the secret switch there's really nice. Ribix is good designing the maps. I've just always been more of a fan of playing Danny Babinga's maps when it comes to these two. And there we go. So at this point, you have the secret and the energy cell packs. There you go. So that'll leave when it's supposed to. And then we're about to grab the red key, which is going to happen in the next segment. So again, just look for that game save up top left. Right there. And this is when I foolishly thought, hey, let's go charge a bunch of Revenants with my fist. Spoilers, it did not go well. Let's look for when we actually stop. Right there it is. So again, on the Kex port, when you go to save, it actually does pause right before it saves. So we want to make sure we capture when we last moved. So moving, 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 frozen. Back it up, moving, frozen. That's where we want to grab it. Otherwise, it's going to look really janky in that section. And it looks like there was no failures in between. Just kind of comb through, make sure. I mean, it'd be a little bit hard to. We're at 200 health. All right, and this segment, you can see we do get the red key card. So let's go ahead and get that one pulled up. And notice it disappeared because it put it in a different segment. Just scroll over to it. Right there it is, so we can edit it. Doesn't need to be that massive because you really want this just to be available but not to impede on the visuals. So just kind of out of the way. And it is the red keycard. So again, fades in and out. Start at the start of the segment, and let's just go until we actually grab it, which I don't think was very far into it. Let's see, just keep an eye on the keys down there. Right there. Yes, this is free, built in on the PlayStation 5. This is Share Factory Studio. And just like that, you can see it's starting to pop in. As soon as we grab the key, it's going to disappear. Right there. Poof, it's gone. So at that point, we have all of our secrets labeled. We have that labeled, and we did not fail in this section. So TDC did not change. So it's at 15. It's going to stay at 15. And here's always the tricky part with this. When it does not change, it does cover that whole segment. We do not give it an animation because we don't want to draw your attention to it because it didn't move. The only thing that you do want to be aware of is that it's not too noticeably different from the previous one. If it's a little different, you're not going to notice it because your eyes aren't looking at it. But if it's popping around like you see there, you do want to adjust it a little bit, just so it's not as noticeable. Now, you can do it in post-production, but this way you make sure it's correct so people have a good idea. Because, again, the whole point of the TDC counter, if you go back throughout the level, you can kind of see as we're running through it, we get all the way past the first secret, no failures. At this point, it jumps to 3. So you can say, okay, this segment is a little bit difficult. But then it goes from 3 all the way to 10. And you know, as soon as you see this jump right here, oh crap, whatever is coming up, I need to be ready for. This is going to get rough. And that's the whole point. Then you can see it goes from 10, stays there for a long time throughout the map. Seriously, most of the map, it just stays at 10. But then it finally jumps to 11, so you can say, okay, this ambush, it's a little tough, but not bad. And then you have the jump by 2. Okay, it's a little bit worse. Jumps by 2 again. At that point, it stays 15 for most of the map. So you can see, okay, in the entire level where it jumps from 3 to 10, that's the area I really want to make sure I'm prepared for, because that's probably the worst part of the map. Right in there. Right before the second secret. So that's the whole point of the TDC counter, because someone did want me one time to show all my failures. And the problem is when you have something like Sunlust where you can easily get 20, 30, 40 failures getting through it, people didn't want an hour-long episode for a 10-minute map. So this was a way to condense all that. And the failures are actually going to jump up big time at the end here, because it is a pretty nasty ending to this map. So again, absolutely, my friend. And we're going to add the previous segment here in just a minute. At this point, we do want to check out when we actually save again. I have a feeling it is going to be a bit. Now, why in the world am I clipping? What in the world happened here? Something weird happened. What? I think I got lost is what happened. What in the world was I looking for? Was there an item that was missing? Let me guess. I bet there was an item that was missing. I was trying to track it down. Again, those are all things that always get cut out in editing. Because usually in these maps, it gets notorious. Yes, that's just because I always leave that clip in. I always like the clip because it literally snaps shut, like, recording a movie where it's like, and cut, snap. I always just leave that in for effect. But I think I lost track of an item somewhere here. That's usually why I'll start warping around the map trying to find it. And now let's go over here. We are still looking for that save. I notice it's taking a while. Either we had a lot of failures here or we got just completely turned around and lost. Let's see. All right, so there's the save. Let's back it up until we last move. And it looks like we were actually changing weapons when this happened. Let's find that last move right there. And again, that's where we want to cut it. And we want to figure out what in the love of God actually happened back here. Because I have no idea what in the world happened. What in the heck was I doing that night? Oh, I think I know what I was doing. I was looking for the last switch to unlock the pain element. It was the one that was in the green pit. Apparently, I walked right past it and never switched it. And it was literally driving me crazy trying to figure out why in the world I couldn't get the BFG 9000. At some point, I figure it out. Right there. Right there's the switch. Yep, because that's what actually starts that whole ambush. So let's go back. This is where I'm just kind of jumping all over the mountainside. And then I'll realize the mistake. And yep, that's where we reload. Okay. So again, catch on the reload when we actually start moving, and it's right away. Cut it there. So there is a save somewhere before all that happened, and this is why you have to be careful when you're scrolling through here. It's easy to lose track of where you're at. Don't tell me I was wandering around lost for a while and then decided, oh, I should probably save it. Because that sounds like something I would do. I'm hoping that wasn't the case. I don't think it was. I think I took out the Revenants and then immediately saved it right here. As you can see, the trap here is absolutely diabolical. Now, it looks like we are in a different segment over here. Is that really where we saved? Okay, it is. So we can just cut all this out. One failure. Because then I went on a campaign to find the BFG 9000. Okay, mystery solved. Okay, so now we know where the heck we're going. It's literally right beside us. There's the switch. And there it was, BFG everything out of existence, and that's where the legitimate save is. So during this segment, TDC did go up by 1, so 15 to 16. Again, that's why I said there's a lot of things you typically don't see when you actually watch the videos. And me being lost is usually a big part of it, because 9 times out of 10, what'll end up happening is I'll get to the very end of the map and usually be missing an item or two, and usually have to search for about 10,000 years to try and figure out where the one random health or armor bonus is. That's why I hate when people use health and armor bonuses for items. At that point, you can see what happened, and there it is. So that's how we get the BFG. Now let's end the map normally. And I don't know if there's going to be another save or if we just exit. Looks like there is. And it's because there's one sneaky archvile at the very end of this map I wanted to make sure we didn't have problems with. Okay, so again, when did we last move? Right there. When did we last fail? Right there, so that didn't take long. And that one was legitimate as Revenant. Okay, when did we move? right there because we were changing weapons. So how many failures were here? 1. Looked legitimate. Yep. Revenant missile. And 2 Revenant missile. Okay. 16 to 18. So as you can see, we're almost done with this one because we just about made it to the end of the level. He literally throws all this at you and then does the one trope I absolutely hate that map makers do: throw a giant ambush at you, and then right at the very end, let's throw an archvile in there just for fun. At that point, literally, the only thing we could do was literally just grab the ammo and run. Absolutely run for your sanity. Just get everything clogged up in that corner. And you can kind of see it there. We have the save. Let's make sure the archvile didn't get us. I think we might end up getting ourselves there. Yep. Again, that's why I say I never count TDCs where I actually blow myself up, because it's bound to happen. Me and rocket launchers, they do not get along well whatsoever. Okay. And it freezes right there. So this segment, TDC didn't change. We're good. It really didn't change through the whole thing because that was me blowing myself up like usual. So just like that, make sure when we move, right, there it is. All right, so it's 18, it stays 18. And because it stays, we don't have a lead in for it because you don't want to draw attention to something that didn't change. So put it roughly in the same spot. Entire segment. And same thing here. Now here we have to be careful because this also shows the end of the map. So what we want to do is put it to the beginning of the clip. So throw it in place. Right there. Beginning of the clip. And let's move it until just before the map fades away. So let's watch when it's about to melt. Right here. Poof. There. So that way, as soon as you get ready to exit, it's just going to magically vanish. And now, as soon as you hear that hit, that's where you want to add the final TDC counter so people can see at the end of it all what it ended up being. And this is actually pretty low for a Sunlust map. Usually they're in the 20s to 40 range. This one, definitely not that hard of a map. I think the biggest thing is just figuring out how to get places and get everything. So that way they show up about the same time right there. Go to the end of the clip. So that way they should all pop in about the same time. Poof. All right. And then, of course, it has the automatic exit cards here. Now, to add the clip at the beginning, go all the way back to the start of this. Let's save what we've got so you don't miss anything. It's a save project. And then we want to add in the previous clip. So if you ever see the previously on whatevers, previously on Sunlust, on Pirate Doom 2, on Struggle, Enter Easy, and Legacy, that's because those 3 WADs actually are designed for each level to mold into the next one. In other words, the end of map 22, Black Rabbit, I think it was called, it literally ends where this one starts. So it's one continuous flowing WAD from one level to the next. That's the only reason I show the previous segments. If the maps do not relate in any way, like in Back to Saturn X, I don't show it. So here we go. All we want to do here is just find interesting clips to take up about 30 seconds a time. So just something that looks pretty cool. Like, how about we run in and all the chaos pops up from the ground. He literally speed of dooms us right here. That's what I have always been determined to turn into a meme, where you just start running down a corridor and all of a sudden monsters just magically pop up from the ground like the living dead. Just like, oh, there you are. Oh yeah, and me pretty much blowing myself up again as usual. Then let's grab something else that's interesting. Definitely is going to be that cave ambush down here, where you just hit the switch and then he throws everything under the sun at you. Let's see, is right here. Wait for the click. Right about there. Alright, so we have everything pops up. I basically blow myself up. Let's get a little bit further into this. Right up there. And then it's like, oh crap, the cave of chaos. And then let's punch it forward again. And we probably want to grab the massive Caco cloud that this level's famous for. Right over here. It's the infamous you hit the switch and then 10,000 million cajillion cacodemons just come flying out over the horizon at you. So let's get kind of right there where we take out the arch files and then immediately are obliterated by cacodemons. Let's get a little bit closer to the arch files being taken out. Right about there. That way it looks more fluid, and then you hit the switch and turn around, they're like, oh crap, here I come. Alright. At that point, you're at 14 seconds. You don't really need much more. Just something that looks intense. Like me literally bullying my way through the exit. Yeah, I always worried if you could actually pull it off. You actually can in this map. You can literally just run right past the ambush before it has time to teleport in. Wait, back it up a little. There we go. And then it's like, you're not going anywhere. We're still spawning. Oh, sorry. There we go. All right, so just like that, you have a bit of a crazy opening. Basically, previously on Sunlust, yada, 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 yada. That way you get to see and be reminded of what the last level was, or if you didn't see the last episode, you have an idea of what it entailed. And that way it gets you ready for... Actually, we don't want you to see that we made it in. There. Just leave it as a mystery. Because that's actually not how we actually did that map. And then when you're done and ready to put it on YouTube, you just want to go to export to gallery. And once it finishes, you'll be able to... You'll get a button to share, and then you'll just share to YouTube. And just like that, that's all you have to do. And your video will appear on YouTube where you can pull it off and add audio or do whatever else you want with it. So hopefully this pulls back the curtain and gives you an idea of how we do these from start to finish. So thanks for joining, everyone. If you've not already, please make sure to check out this episode coming out later today. And we'll see you next time. Take care, everyone.